Hello and welcome to the big picture. The concept of special economic zones envisaged during the previous NDA rule was taken forward with much fanfare and hope by the UPA government, resulting in a legislation called the Special Economic Zones Act 2005. Ever since, 566 formal approvals have been granted for SEZs across the country in a notified area extending up to 47,803 hectares. However, the total area utilized so far out of this has just been 17,689 hectares. More interestingly, out of the 566 approved, 398 SEZs are yet to start operations, as per Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who informed the Rajya Sabha today. The concept of SEZ, which received both flack and support, has been a non-starter in many states, with mainly IT SEZs having succeeded to some extent. The UPA government, which had promoted it intensely at one time, almost gave it up in the last few years, as interest among the promoters also flagged. In the recent budget speech, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, however, has said that his government is committed to revive the SEZs and consultations and discussions are to start on it soon. There are suggestions that special labour laws should be made for these zones apart from providing other incentives. The question is, can and should these SEZs be revived? And what does it require to revive them? And if this is the best way to drive exports, growth and create employment. We will discuss all this today with Paranjoy Guha Thakurta, senior journalist and economic analyst who will be on the phone line, Dr. Aradhna Agarwal, associate professor, Delhi University and an economist, Dr. Harcharan Singh, former Deputy Director General, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Anil Kumar Sharma, Chairman and Managing Director, Amrapali Group of Builders, and on the phone line from Nagpur is Devinder Sharma, Food and Agricultural Analyst. Welcome to all of you. Aradhna Agarwal, I would like to come to you first. Do you think that these SEZs can be revived?
Well, I believe that SEZs can be revived if there is investors' confidence in them is restored. And for that, it is very important that the original SEZ Act is reinstated as it was in the SEZ Act 2005.
What has happened to that Act? When you say that it has to be restored, it is all, I think it's still in operation. The same Act is still in operation.
The same Act is in operation. That is, I agree with you on that. But the implementation of that Act actually is a big deviation from the original Act.
Okay.
The benefits which were offered in the original Act, they are withdrawn. For instance, MAT is imposed, dividend tax is imposed, which the units were relieved of in the original Act. Besides, we find that there are several provisions in the Act which are not really implemented in the spirit of that Act. So this withdrawal of MAT and dividend tax actually has caused a big worry for the SEZ units.
So is that one of the major reasons why the promoters are not too keen to go ahead with and setting up these SEZs?
Well, actually, right from the beginning, there were some problems. As you know, that after 2007, the problems started coming up when there was rush for setting up special economic zones, there was rush for land acquisition. So the government policy was not really generating that kind of confidence. There were so many uncertainties about implementing those policies, and the confidence of foreign direct investors actually could not be created, in special economic zones, and we did not find any inflow of foreign direct investment in SEZs. So right from the beginning, there were troubles regarding the land acquisition policy, regarding the taxation. So after this the MAT and dividend taxes were withdrawn, I feel that this actually created a much damage to the confidence of SEZ investors, and promoters were not really willing because they were not able to attract SEZ units in their SEZs.
Okay, I mean, we'll see, we'll take it forward. Mr. Sharma, would you agree with Anuradha on this? And you as a builder and builders, several builders had applied for these SEZs in the past. You think that are the builders still having the same kind of enthusiasm? The finance minister seems to be enthusiastic to revive these SEZs.
Yes, I do agree with Anuradha ji, because very purpose of the act for establishing SEZ was in manifold, like creation of employment. We need to generate more and more foreign currencies. We need to create a walk to a culture and so many things. But the purpose of creation of SEZ was defeated when the developers had a lot of problems in getting approvals. It took years together, and so many tax benefits were already uplifted by the state government, because it's a great coordination. It has to be a great coordination between the central government benefit and the state government benefits. See, ATIA in last I think in budget, it was not being given, that has not been passed on to the developer in SEZ zone. So if at all it is being revived, it must be formatted in such a way that even the developer who is going to develop the SEZ, they must get all benefits what has been elaborated in the act.
Okay, Paranjoy. Luckily we have Paranjoy here. He was stuck in a traffic jam. I'm glad he has reached here. Yes, Paranjoy, two things which Anuradha Agarwal and Mr. Sharma also saying is that the act which was passed in 2005, the benefits which were provided in those acts, some of them have been withdrawn or some of them have not been implemented, because of which the promoters and the developers have not been as keen as they used to be earlier to set up these SEZs.
There are more reasons why the whole concept of special economic zones have not really taken off in the way. You remember there were early avatars. They were first called free trade zones.
Right.
Then they were called export processing zones.
Right.
Then the latest avatar became the special economic zones. Now, there are, let me go step by step and tell you what were the inherent flaws. You took a model which you thought was successful in China, except
right.
The difference was that in China you had entire townships. You had huge areas along the coast which were designated as export zones.
Right.
Here, on the other hand, you wanted hundreds of these zones scattered literally across the length and breadth of the country. So conceptually, there was something there. Secondly, you were really trying to create little enclaves where the rules of the land wouldn't apply. No income tax, customs, excise, and not just the other tax laws. You now are even suggesting that the labor laws should not apply.
So in a way, labor laws should be completely amended for exclusively for this.
So in other words, you are creating in a country, you're trying to, in a sort of ocean of deprivation, you're want to create islands of affluence. They're a bit like these gated colonies where, people are insulated from the rest of the world. You generate your own power, you pump your own water as if the rest of the world doesn't matter. I think there are some inherent flaws in this kind of a model. One of the reasons why, you see, this has not worked is look at the problems they're faced with land acquisition. Large number of areas, including the Reliance one in Maharashtra as well as in Haryana, you had local population refusing to give up their land. Now, you can't have a policy which is so piecemeal and you're trying to, use this mechanism to generate additional exports, where I believe it's not only the Act and the provisions of the Act, including the different provisions, the tax benefits, I believe it was conceptually highly flawed. And I make one last point. Everybody apprehended when Mr. Kamal Nath was the Commerce Minister and these hundreds of SEZs were given approval that these would become real estate rackets. They actually have in many cases. Very recently, not that long ago, the government even tweaked the laws. You have on one level a press note which says foreigners can't, acquire real estate, but through a back door, you are allowing them to do that. So are you really here generating exports or allowing real estate companies to be bailed out by foreigners through the back door? I mean, so these are among the many flaws, I believe, in not only the Act as it exists, not only the implementation of the Act as it been done, but even conceptually.
But what Anuradha says is that the withdrawal of MAT and dividend tax and things like that, these are the things which have created problems, and these are the things which have resulted in the.
Sure, I don't disagree with her, okay. But I'm saying there are
other flaws to that.
Over and above all these.
Okay, Devinder, are you there?
Well, Nikhil, I think what is important is if you look at the way the SEZs came up, I always have been saying that, Sardar Patel was able to push out about 500 odd princely states out of India.
566.
Yes, you are right.
And there are 566 SEZs have been approved so far.
So you are creating another set of princely states in India, and these are virtually princely states. I think all they need is to put up a flag and they become an independent country. If you look at the kind of largesse that has been given to them, you'll be surprised. Let me read out a couple of things. Complete exemption from excise duty, custom duty, sales tax, octroi, mandi tax, turnover tax, as well as income tax holiday for 10 years. Then spelled out provisions for 100% foreign direct investment, exemption on income tax on infrastructure, capital fund, and individual investment, assurance of round-the-clock electricity and water supply. SEZ promoters also given a waiver from carrying out an environmental impact assessment. Now, with all these largesse, what more do you need? And there are still more thrown up. There is a permission to indulge in commodity hedging, external commercial borrowings up to $500 million without any maturity restrictions, freedom to bring in export proceeds without any time limit and make foreign investment from it, and so on. It goes on. Now, I think these are the kinds of things that princely states would have required. And I think the basic objective, as Paranja said, was maybe, I just extend his argument, was not basically to improve exports. This is always comes with the right kind of vocabulary, but basically to allow a real estate to take over land. And I think that is exactly what has happened, and that is exactly why it has also failed. Now, if it has failed, I think why are we keen to revive it is a big question. Why can't we extend all these kind of facilities that have been spelled out for SEZ to the rest of the country? Now they are saying that we already in India had 100% export-oriented units, and which are about 2,000 more, the 2,000 plus, units like that in India. And now you are saying that this SEZs, they're not required to have 100% exports. Now they are 51% they're coming down to. And if their objective is only to get more tax exemption, MAT is one of the, one of those things that the industry is upset. Then I think it is very clear they only want freebies, nothing else. And as you said, if the most of those people who are taking advantage of it are the IT companies. They have moved on from the non-SEZ into the SEZ. They've even removed employment. I know a lot of the boys who have left their jobs at one unit and then were re-employed in a SEZ unit by the IT companies. So that is what is shown as job creation. Right. So if the job creation has not worked, if the exports have not worked, I don't understand why do you need to really revive SEZ? Okay. And I think there's something fundamentally wrong. I personally believe that we should get out of this ideological thinking that these are the ways to grow economy. If you look at globally, only 400 odd SEZs exist in the world. Okay. Why are we in a hurry to bring in to bring in that kind of 566, as you said, or more than that, into the country? I don't understand. Okay. And if you look at China,
Devinder, I'll come back to you. I think you have made several important points. Let me get the others to react to it. Yes, Anuradha, very serious, important points which has been made. Even after all this, why? There's already so many freebies being given to you. You want more.
Well, actually, let me make a few points here in response to what was said by the previous speaker. Now, first about benefits, as you are also asking. Now, if you look at the benefits per unit of export, they turn out to be less in SEZs as compared with these benefits outside SEZs. Now, this calculation is already done by me, and it is there with the help of the finance ministry personnel himself. So this is one thing. So they are basically getting direct tax benefits. And here in lieu of that, they are foregoing several other schemes benefit which are provided to exporters outside of SEZs, number one. Number two, everybody is talking of enclave. They are not enclave. We are still stuck with classical economics and classical concept of SEZs. The entire SEZ concept has to be seen within the framework of now agglomeration economies. They are the agglomeration of highly competitive farms. And this is how we have to look, and this is how we have to develop, and this is how we have to integrate them with the rest of the economy. I completely disagree with the argument that they are the princely states and they are the supreme power or whatever. So, if you look at the world trend,
what you're trying to say is that there are these SEZs have certain problems which the people outside doing business outside the SEZs don't have. So are you trying to say that those benefits need to be extended to SEZs also?
No, I am not saying that. I'm simply arguing that if you look at the benefits given to SEZs, they are not really overemphasized. This is what my point is, because there are several benefits that companies outside of SEZs have been enjoying. Number two, we have a lot of production in informal sector.
Then why do we need SEZs? If there are such...
Yes, that's what precisely I am coming to. That's what precisely I am saying, that these are providing agglomeration economies and a very good environment where production can undertake, can happen. Look, you know, if you look at clusters, I don't know how many of us have visited clusters. The clusters that are there in countries, the condition is so pathetic in those clusters, they don't have minimum infrastructure available to them. SEZs are providing some very good infrastructure, and they are providing us agglomeration economies. Even if there is shift of units from outside of SEZs to SEZs, I believe that efficiency will improve and this will add to our GDP growth. People simply look at the transfer. They talk about additionality, but additionality can come even if similar resources can produce more. So this is also what we have to look at.
Yes, Paranja, before I go back to Mr. Sharma.
You know, I disagree with her, and I'll tell you why. And it's not me alone. There are many people who are, including the World Bank, and they brought out a report which says, do you have additionality of exports? You can't convert the whole country into one giant special economic zone. You are having many economic zones. You don't like the word enclave, no problem. Use clusters, use agglomeration of efficient industries. What you're actually seeing, existing economic export-oriented units, particularly those in the information technology sector, you are moving from one kind of a taxation economic environment into another one. Is that adding to your exports or merely diverting it?
What are the results? What are the
you tell me.
What do the statistics say? Anuradha, can you
say
that?
One more point.
Yes.
One more point. You know, all these concessions that you are giving to all the units in the SEC, you are calling them concessions. You are calling them incentives. Income tax, customs duty, excise duty, everything. Okay? But you don't like subsidies. You don't like subsidies being given, you know, whether it be on kerosene or diesel or anything else. But wait, I am saying at a conceptual level, here you have a country which is a developing country, and you want to, in the middle of this developing country, create so-called islands of excellence. And you think that that's the best way to push your exports. Right. But why hasn't it taken off?
Why
that's the fundamental question.
In fact,
why have all these companies faced problems in land acquisition?
566 approved, 185 are working. There's still about more than 300 have not taken off at all. Let me get Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, you know, one of the things you people say that there needs to be more incentives. What has been given is not enough. But the other argument is that more than enough has been given and still it is not working.
See, I'll tell you, the very purpose of creation of SEZ was quite different. We should see that whether employment have been generated or not.
Has it been generated?
Foreign companies have come or not.
Mr. Sharma, has it been generated?
Pardon?
Do you think the employment has been generated?
Yes, of course. Of course, and I'll tell you that a country like India, which is a developing country, need to create more and more jobs.
There's no doubt.
Need to invite foreign companies. So SEZ is a place under one roof. We can provide lot of opportunities to the foreign investors, and we can create employment.
Why have they not
for all these three things?
No, why have they not come? No, one second.
According to you,
no, Mr. Sharma, 1 second. I have a question. A point made by Parunjoy earlier about how these enclaves or whatever you want to call it have become a source of, you know, bringing in foreigners from the back seat and making these SEZs more and more into actually real estate development projects, not really the SEZs.
I completely disagree with this, because to start with, real estate just is providing an infrastructure for the concept. SEZ is the real estate is coming into picture only because it need to have one roof under which lot of industries, lot of facilities should be there. That's all. The role of real estate is over. Thereafter, we need to see so many policies have been withdrawn, so many taxes have been withdrawn. There is no support from the state government. A lot of state government has, hurdle for acquiring land. A lot of approvals is required. Approval process is very much cumbersome. So naturally, the moment, as you told, that only 28% of the SEZ have been approved. See,
yeah, but you know what?
Condition.
If you
keep on changing the whole thing, definitely it won't succeed.
Out of what has been approved, only 30 or 35% is working. But Dr. Harcharan, let me get Dr. Harcharan Singh into this. One of the biggest things which people talk about when they talk about the successive governments, have been talking about SEZs, and Mr. Sharma also was talking about creating employment. You think it has created employment?
No, I would not say that it is not creating. It is creating employment. It has to create employment, otherwise they cannot survive. But actually, when we acquire the land, and there should be some time lag, fixed time lag, that by that time you should come, because they promise employment to the farmers whose land is taken by them. So in case they do not get employment for 7 years or so, where they will go? A land is lying idle. As you had told that this is just like that a business. You Haryana Gurgaon model. Yes. This is the Reliance Special Economic Zone. No, government says we are taking the land back.
Right.
So what Reliance is saying, you give me then 1172 crores back. They got it 300 without doing anything. They are earning 800 crores. This system actually, that's why these special economic zones are not working. Land is the major factor where the people, the employers,
land is a major factor.
But
now,
there should be time limit fixed that within 1 year you have to start the operation. This is the thing.
I think that is there is some time limit fixed. But Dr. Harcharan Singh, one important point is now the argument is that if you have to revive SEZs, you have to have special labor laws for that.
Yes.
The labor laws which have been working outside the SEZs cannot work within the SEZs.
Yes.
You think it's a good thing?
It is a good thing. I would say it is a good thing. There should be flexibility in labor laws. It should be beneficial to the employer as well as to the labor welfare.
Right.
Those who are working
how do you strike that balance?
There should be contract workers. There should be contract workers, and there should be matching with the skill development. The special economic zone, they should do some skill development. We need this type of skilled people. ITI or whatever other technical institutions are there, they should provide us this thing. So there should be clear demarcation of these things.
So you think that the labor laws...
I would say that there should be one labor laws, not only in special economic zone, but in whole country. You have to think beyond our system of working. That is
the present system, the present labor laws.
Present labor laws are so many labor laws. Even I have been dealing with the minimum wage. I do not know. In case you ask me what is the minimum wage, this employment in Haryana, I won't be able to say immediately.
So there needs to be uniformity in the labor law. Devinder, would you agree with that?
Flexibility in labor laws.
See, I think more important, than the labor law. Labor law, of course, needs to be re-looked into it from both the aspect of or benefit of the employer as well as the employee. It's not that the employer is always doing a remarkable thing, and this hire and fire policy has also hurt the employees in many industries and including media. The point I think more important than labor laws. I think labor laws is because they want everything to fall in line, so therefore they are very making noise about labor law. I think is the import duties. When you look at the way the FTAs, the free trade agreements, and the WTO has been designed, you have reduced your import duties as a result of which the cheaper imports are coming in. Now, can you compete with that? If you look at the manufacturing, the thing that we talk about in India, 54% of our manufacturing products are coming from China. Now, can you compete with China unless you raise your duties? And on top of it, India is going to sign or working towards a trade agreement with the bilateral trade agreement with China. So I think we're going to compound the crisis in the days to come. And we all know that it's not the labor law which is going to protect the SEZ. It is going to be the import duties. If you redesign import duties, raise those import duties to a level that you can protect your industry. Otherwise, it's gone. So I think we know the reasons for the why SEZs are not taking off, but we actually are not aiming at that. And the other point I want to make is, if you look at the earlier industrial zones that we were created in the country, the industrial zone, as Pranjay was telling us, there were different connotations and different layers. If you look at Baddi in Himachal Pradesh, the people who got that land initially have all sold off their land and gone away. But this is not the only example. So it's happening everywhere. SEZ also, this same will happen. So basically, it's a land mafia that is operating, and they're all keen on land, as the other gentleman talked about Haryana, and that's happening all across the country. If you look at Odisha,
absolutely.
If you look at Odisha, POSCO has done it, Tata has done it. They got cheaper land and they wanted it to be converted into SEZs. That is what they've done. So all over that, the impression is land. And one more point, very important, is Girish, is that you can't allow Chinese to come in and set in SEZ. Incidentally, China is coming in and
they are supposed to be the experts, so they are supposed to show us how to do it. Okay, Devinder. Yes, Pranjay, I'll come to you. Yes.
I mean, are we going to emulate the worst practices from China? Or are we going to take the best practice? Are we going to follow them in the way they build their roads and their railways? Or are we going to look at a system where you have one set of labor laws inside the special economic zone and another set of labor laws outside the economic zone? And you have a card
to says that there should be uniform labor laws applicable to all the across the country.
No, I don't disagree with it. But that's what I'm saying. Can you have two sets of labor laws? In one place, the Factories Act doesn't apply, the Industrial Disputes Act doesn't apply, the Contract Labor Abolition and Regulation Act does not apply. You go out of the gates and then it starts applying. Can you seriously have, is this your notion of how you're going to create jobs?
Okay.
I mean,
Anuradha, you have to answer this. Okay, Anuradha, you have to answer this.
Yeah, actually, I start with this, this question raised by my previous speaker. Well, actually, special economic zones, which are created, as you say, enclaves, but I say agglomeration. One of the purposes is to experiment with laws. There are certain laws which may not be really withdrawn, but which may be withdrawn from certain selected areas, and we can experiment with them. What happens once they are withdrawn? Now, once the experiment is successful, that can be extended to other areas as well. And China has done a similar thing. They started with liberalization in their special economic zones, and they found that was a successful experiment, and then they emulated that in the rest of the country.
So SEZs need to be laboratories for experimenting on various things. Yes, very quickly.
I think I have been mistaken, because I want one labor laws, preferably for the whole country, and it should contain all aspects what we are having
what
in
we
the
are having already now.
Not Industrial Dispute Act we are having. We should have in that labor law.
Okay.
Minimum wage act we are having that.
Mr. Sharma.
Effect. We can have.
Okay, Mr. Sharma, very quickly, Mr. Sharma, what Devinder was pointing about, how these SEZs in many parts of the country, in at least some of the parts which he mentioned, and also there are others which I can also mention in Pune and things like that, where people have sold these huge number of hectares of land and made a very clean profit. For instance, the DLF, with its joint venture Uptown, had recently sold an IT SEZ in Pune to a foreign company and made 810 crores of rupees.
After the rules were changed.
After the rules were changed. So, yes. Isn't there a danger of these kind of things happening if the revival takes place?
See, if at all we won't be interested to continue the same norms, same rules, if every day the rules would be changing and policies would be changing, what will be the result of all those things? Suppose we are creating employment and we are generating foreign currency, and we are creating very good infrastructure, that reduces the load on urban infrastructure.
Okay.
Today a lot of our executives, they have to travel a lot. So there are a lot of good things what is happening. But
Okay, sir. I think we have completely run out of time. Sorry for that. This is a debate which will be continued. We'll wait and watch what the government proposes to do to revive the SEZs, and many of the issues which have come up here will obviously be taken into account. But this is a discussion which will have to continue We will wait and watch how the government will take it forward. Thanks to all my guests, Devinder Sharma, Anil Kumar Sharma, Paranjoy Gautakurta, Anuradha Agarwal and Harcharan Singh. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time tomorrow.